Hi, I'm writing this across every platform I can in order to best reach out to everyone and give them the rundown of things. If you don't know me, my name is Bree, aka the Ranger Bree System, aka Ranger, aka Master 2, and in most places I go by RBree2. My elevator pitch for myself is that I'm an autistic, plural, which is median system, trans woman, lesbian, witch with ADHD, bipolar disorder, anxiety, and numerous disabilities, both physical and mental. I'm 32 years old as of July 23rd and legally married to the love of my life as of November 5th, 2024. Although, tangent, we're still hoping to have a wedding ceremony because we effectively eloped in October of 2026, which is pushed back from the initial plan of October 2025. But I digress. Over my life, I've accumulated my fair share of interests: writing, games, music, song, dancing, poetry, art, webcomics, and more. And I even blogged about a lot of these for over 10 years continuously. Still have that blog, it's just updated less often. I've pursued all of these things as a potential career casually, but never been able to get my foot really fully through the door on anything. So instead, professionally, I've been a lifeguard and later an aquatic lead, which is formerly called a lead lifeguard, my entire adult life for nearly 11 years. Minus 1 year missed due to COVID, so like last 12 years since I was 20. In online spaces, I am mostly known for my supportive nature. I bring joy and positivity to the spaces I choose to inhabit, give my time, energy, and support to friends, loved ones, and even relative strangers who I happen to share a space with. In my mind, everyone I talk to is a potential future friend because every friend I have ever had, I got from talking. We just talk, and that's how we vibe together. So, like, talking has been my one skill above all skills my whole life. I share memes, I make silly wordplay jokes, I just vibe with folks. When I provide my presence and provide that source of constant engagement and, when I can, encouragement. I talk about my passions, my interests, my life, and I listen to them talk about theirs. We find common ground, we talk about shared experiences, and I find their stories fascinating, and I'm pretty good at remembering what they tell me too. I'm obviously not perfect, but I'm still pretty good at remembering what people tell me, and you're often surprised at just what I remember that they've shared. But like, I remember, I just always have. And whenever people run into issues they want advice on, I give what I can. Like, I can just listen to them, I can problem solve for them, I can provide perspective, and like whenever people are down, I just provide that. I help people see the best in them even when they can't, and I provide ways for them to recover and rebuild and to keep going forward. And like sometimes when I feel it's helpful, I give my life perspective to share that they're not alone, and I give them whatever guidance I can. And I'm pretty good at doing that. And in many ways, I'm both a teacher and a counselor slash psychiatrist slash healer, like call it whatever you will, but like I help people. I give them that education and that healing. I give them a way of reframing their life in a way that encourages healthier mindsets and potentially provides them a path forward in life. And I do all of this just because it feels like the right thing to do and the thing that I want to do. And one of the main ways I tend to share these things is through small daily reminders and giving little tips and tricks with what I call my daily check-ins. I started them to encourage everyone to check in daily to let people know they're alive and okay, and I chose to encourage engagement with those daily check-ins by providing small boosts to the day. Little things which can shed perspective on all their negative self-talk and allow for fighting against their weaknesses and building on their strengths, to basically give them something to talk about in a good way. And I want to share those with a wider audience than what I have, so I'm working on expanding to other media. I eventually want to make a year-long calendar and or a year-long prompt journal, which I feel like would be something that people would get a lot of good use out of. Soonest I could possibly do that, mind you, is like December 2025, because I need a year's worth of daily check-ins, and I started them in November of 2024, well, midway through November of 2024, and I can only provide them when I'm both alive and okay, and there's been a few days that I haven't been, and there's also been a couple of vacations in that time, so I'm missing like maybe a month or two, so December 2025, January 2026, that area is about the soonest I could possibly have a full year's worth, but as soon as I have a full year's worth, I want to make those things. But one thing I can do immediately is I've begun plans on making a series of 44 card Oracle decks because, well, each deck would have 44 cards, which is 44 affirmations, and I have a whole lot more than that. I have probably in the range of 200-ish. Like, not a full 300, I don't think, but solidly 200. So I can make a few months worth of Oracle decks, and that would help basically give people a way to effectively dish out their own daily affirmation for themselves. I've also turned these daily check-ins into a webcomic, and I occasionally record videos of my daily check-ins. I even have made a subreddit dedicated to providing them, and I've added a tag for daily check-ins on the subreddit for my presence as a content creator. And speaking of which, obviously, since you're watching this in video form, you know that I am a content creator. I create videos of all kinds. On TikTok, I primarily post meme posts and wordplay which is just wordplay which I think of, and I've been sharing that with friends for years. And
your wife for a year.
Yeah, and I've been posting it on TikToks more recently. On YouTube, there's a much larger variety. Like, I post vlogs, which I think this one is technically going to be counted as. I talk about passion projects. I provide longer uplifting messages. I educate people on subjects I'm familiar with, particularly plurality. I provide unedited, longer form recordings of gameplay for games. And I perform the various songs I've composed because, like, I do write. I've written hundreds of songs, so many songs, and I've performed quite a few of them.
In front of me, she has.
And other things I do include that I stream on Twitch, and I do upload the raw stream VODs to YouTube. I'm a variety streamer, technically, but lately I have been pretty much exclusively playing Cozy Farm games that are like Stardew Valley, Disney Dreamlight Valley, those are the big two recently, but there's also Minecraft, Fields of Mystery, Sunhaven, etc.
I make the occasional appearance.
Yeah. And besides Cozy Farm games, I primarily play RPG games, but I also do one-off story games and childhood nostalgia games. I also stream both art and my novel writing process. And on that note, my current novel, Records of Farn, has its own elevator pitch. The genres of high school hijinks/shenanigans, shonen, shoujo, light novel, isekai, and harem blended and mixed into one, to tell an epic surrounding around the effects of the isekai protagonist that has on the fantasy world she finds herself in. And like, Farn is a paracosm, which is an invented world, and it has as much history as Earth does. It's as old as Earth in billions of years, so like 4.2 billion-ish. Had a planet collision to form one moon in a similar time frame, developed primitive proto-life in a similar time frame. Sapient life began forming around the same time. Modern sapiens appeared around 200,000 years ago, which, as far as I know by my research, is the age of modern humanity. And civilizations have risen and fallen in parallel times to on Earth. Like, it's not an exact correlation, it's loose because I'm not making a clone of Earth, I'm just making a world very, very similar to Earth. The main difference being that Farn is a place where magic and religion are real, so the history of the planet is interwoven with mythological figures who explicitly had a proven, tangible impact on the world and continue to have that impact in everyday life. So, since this means there's billions alive in the modern day on Farn, with hundreds of countries, cultures, and countless pop culture, I will never be able to tell the entire story of the planet, because to tell it all would be as impossible as telling all of Earth's history. Like, you can spend a lifetime on any given subject on Earth, you can spend a lifetime on any given subject on Farn. But Records specifically is focused around the introduction of one transplant from Earth. And V, the protagonist, is that transplant. So Records is covering her arrival on Farn, and her arrival transforms the planet thanks to the influence and consequences of her actions on the world stage. And V was designed as a protagonist to represent some underrepresented demographics. Namely, she's a polyamorous, plural, trans woman, lesbian with ADHD, autism, bipolar disorder, and anxiety. And when I was creating the idea, I asked the question, what would it take for a person with those specific traits that I wanted a protagonist to have be the one in 8 billion people that could be sent? Like, what would it take for those specific traits to make a person the most qualified person to be sent to a fantasy realm, which in this case was Farn. So, like, what made V be the most qualified person out of 8 billion possible people to be the person sent? And that meant that as V evolved and Farn evolved, they were evolving side by side to be essentially a perfect match for each other. And I initially planned for 3 books in total covering the majority of the world. Records would cover V's first 3 years on Farn. I would write a sequel which is set after Records, and then an interquel between the sequel and Records connecting the two. And the interquel would cover a lot of the expanded lore that neither of the other 2 books previously could, filling in the gaps in a kind of encyclopedic way. I don't want to spoil too much, though. I did run into a problem though. I realized records would, in its entirety, be akin to the entirety of The Lord of the Rings in length, at minimum. It's actually much, much longer. I was effectively writing an entire series of light novels, or in the entirety of a lengthy manga like Bleach. Not quite One Piece length, not quite, I don't know, Naruto length, but lengthy, like Bleach, or the entirety of an anime with hundreds of episodes, not 1,000 like One Piece, but like hundreds of episodes, in one single book, which is too much for one book. So my first solution was to break it up by year, 3 books. Again, like The Lord of the Rings, because J.R.R. Tolkien originally intended it to be 1 book before it was by necessity broken into 3. Same thing here. My first solution, break it up by year. Year 1 as V's first year on Farn, Year 2 as her second year on Farn, and post-graduation as her first year out and about fully in the adult world. And I've run into the problem where just year 1 is likely to be around 2,000 to 4,000 pages in length, give or take.
Minus what you edit out.
And the other years are likely to be equally as long. And, like, a lot of this content is stuff that I do not want to cut out. And because it's stuff that I don't want to cut out, and it's that long, my current plan is to take it even further back to return to the roots, because like I took great inspiration from light novels in particular, like the serial, well, more specifically anime adaptations of light novels. Like one of the biggest inspirations on the setting was what me and my friends called slime time, which is that time I was reincarnated into a slime.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, like that's one of the big inspirations, and like something like that where there's a series of books eventually made into an anime and or manga, but I might as well, because that's one of the main inspirations, why not just have a series of books where each book in records is like 1 or 2 of the arcs of what an anime would be, a la like a manga volume or an anime season, and like to have each book be smaller and be that amount. And that will leave the first book at a far more reasonable 400 to 600 pages. Yes, still long, but more digestible. Like, the series is long and big and lengthy because it's got dozens upon dozens of characters just on the core cast. And I'm actually really pretty close to getting it written. I'd estimate it's about 1/10 done for a first draft. And yes, I know, first draft, it needs a lot of editing, polishing, cleaning up, etc. Some of which I can do on my own, some of which I will probably need an editor for. And the hardest part of setting the framework are almost completed, with snippets of the rest written and a pretty comprehensible timeline established. I know what I'm doing, I just have to put in the work to actually make it. And that would be making the book after book after book after book until I finish and have it all published. And then there's a lot of plans beyond that for the expanded Farn universe. I genuinely believe that properly handled, Farn as a franchise could be worth $1 billion, if not more. Like, could be multiple billions of dollars if handled properly. Mind you, I have no interest in being even a millionaire, yet alone a billionaire, but I think my world, the world of Farn, has that much value if marketed and produced and so on and so forth properly. I know I have a moneymaker if I can actually get the help and assistance to have it make that money. Like I I just I just basically want to survive and get by. Like, I do not have an interest in money at all beyond just living, like the cost of living. That's all I want. So, like, I don't really want that much money, but at the same time, I know the theoretical value is worth that much money. And, like, I think if I could successfully pitch it to a service provider like Amazon or Netflix, Records of Arn would make an incredibly good anime because it is basically an anime in book form already. And we're talking like Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen levels of animation and popularity. I know what I've written has the charm behind it. There's the characters, the quirks, the backstories, endless amount of investment in the world building, the rich lore, or the narrative, how things flow. I know what I have is good. Like, maybe not in the like writing itself, but in the content behind the writing. Like, it's a genuine world that is real, and that matters. And with the show to provide official looks, that opens the door for things like merch, figurines, shirts, you name it. Anything which could be sold and distributed to people on a worldwide basis. I know that I have the product for that, essentially. And it wouldn't end there. Like, as I said, Records has a planned sequel and an interquel, both of which could also be adapted into their own shorter anime series. We're talking like maybe a couple seasons each, and then there's the expanded world lore beyond that. I have in mind a Battlestar Galactica / Lost type live action soap opera drama fest covering the distant past revolving around the continent of Cydonia, the foreign equivalent to Atlantis, and how it led to the rise of Dabadon, the demon god lord of slothfulness. I am in the middle of recording a video on the demon god lords, so look forward to that. But I have always thought that, given the opportunity, I could successfully pull off what all the pale imitators to those two shows that tried to copy what those shows did tried to do but failed. I feel like I understand what made those shows work, and I feel like I could artificially recreate what was accidentally made by the circumstances of the time. Like Battlestar Galactica, Lost, they were not designed to run the way they did. It was basically, essentially, a happy accident. And all of the imitators copied the wrong things to make it last. But I think I know how to actually pull it off and pull it off well. I also have in mind as another thing a musical, a full musical. Like, we're talking theatrical production musical covering the downfall of the Federation of Ranmoan Children, aka the Farachian Empire, and how Zebulel, the demon god lord of envy, was birthed from that late stage capitalism hellscape. I also have in mind a webcomic covering Bothai, the false chosen, who is another one of the demon god lords, and how he came to be. And then there's a novel covering the rise of Rarma, the demon god lord of greed, and how she conquered Angea, putting an end to an era of colonialism in the old world. And there's more. I also have in mind a book / anime series called Fallen Farn, a what if alternate universe covering one possible rendition of what Farn would look like without V's influence. One possible way things pan out without V accomplishing her full potential. In essence, it shows one possible world which diverges from the canonical Farn at a point where V easily could have failed and shows the consequences of that failure in an alternate future separate from the canonical sequel and interquel. And like, I want Fallen Farn to be something that anyone can make a version of, but at the same time, I do want to show like one version of it as, hey, here's an idea for something. Go make your own. I have in my plans for Farn built in the plan to have it handed over to the community so that the community can make content for it, so that the community can make fan fictions, can make fan art, can make their own ideas. Like, Farn is too big to be just me. Farn is too big to be made by just me. So my plan is to share Farn with the world so that the whole world essentially can on their own contribute to Farn should they so choose. And like all of that together, that's like 5 anime series, a musical, a webcomic, a live action series, all of the books, and with potential merch to match with the sequel and sequels, like even the sequel I have could have sequels made because I deliberately left that door open. Again, it doesn't have to be written by me for that door because I left it to be open so that others could write for Farn after I have told the story that I want to. Like, after I have told the story I want it to be open for others to share that universe and tell their own stories in that universe. And I know that I can and set things up. And that's aside from how this being a world that has all of the stuff that is in our world. They even have, like, I have created a fictional MOBA video game which easily could be turned into an actual real MOBA. It's kind of like League of Legends mixed with a lot of paladins in effect. I can talk about that some other time. And like, in terms of background lore, by my estimation, I have compiled 6,000 pages of notes for Farn. And there's more, plenty more unwritten on top of those 6,000 I've stored exclusively in my head. It is a veritable similarian of notes. Like, there's genuinely enough to make books upon books about the background, lore, and information. So when I say this is potentially $1 billion franchise if properly enabled, I well and truly believe it to have that level of worth. I know what I have. And like, Farn is a rich, interesting world, truly equal to Earth in scale, and that provides the ability for a truly endless amount of stories and storytelling on every type of media you can think of. And Farn is just my current obsession as a paracosm. I've made more like the Rubyverse of my webcomic Red Hood Rider, which is of equal scale to Farn. And like, even the Descended, a past webcomic of mine, is sizable. And I've been writing stories since I was 13, and that has led to dozens, even hundreds of rich worlds I can, with relative ease, write and bring to life as I aim to with Farn. A lot of them also being paracosms of the size of Farn. Because I have more passions than just Farn too. Like, I also want to write and illustrate a children's book series. It's completely different age group because Farn is for an older, more mature audience. This would be for literally young children who are just learning to read Sam I Am type stories. It's like, I have in mind an illustrated picture book containing captions which rhyme, telling subtle, easily digestible morals to children through the eyes of the protagonist. messages like you might not like going to a doctor, but it helps you stay healthy, how to play safe, how to explore, etc. And I am a talented enough artist and a wordsmith to pull it off, where I could potentially write a new book every month or so and release dozens in the series. And like all of this, like all of that, all of these ideas, all of that creativity, all of that passion, all of that support I give others, and all of the love, kindness, education, resources, and so on and so forth I provide, all of that joy and all of that positivity, all of that potential is in jeopardy because I myself am in danger by the dire straits of my current life circumstances and the desperation thereof. And like my work recently made policy changes which in effect removed accommodations for my disabilities. My work already strains me above 25 hours per week because, like, again, I am disabled. I struggle to work the quote unquote normal amount, and removing the parts of that routine which made it bearable is exhausting me to the point where I might genuinely collapse at any given moment. Like, there's been a lot of close calls. And on top of that, I've been given extra job responsibilities without any extra pay for the compensation of the increased workload. Like, we're having a lot of people leave. I wonder why. It's because these new policies suck. And because a lot of the people are leaving, that is increasing the stress on those who are remaining. So I'm doing more work with less accommodations for my disabilities and getting no increase in my pay or benefits from it. So just my one job, now averaging closer to 36 hours in a week, a full 10 more than I can realistically handle, well, even with accommodations, while having those accommodations removed and doing extra work for no extra pay, is genuinely pushing my body and mind past breaking. So, like, I may not make it if my job conditions don't improve. And it gets worse. Despite all the above, my job does not cover the cost of living. It does not come even close. Like, me and my wife are both employed at soul-sucking jobs, which are taxing us beyond our breaking points because we both have disabilities. And despite having two jobs, we still aren't even making even close to enough to survive. And despite how our current jobs could already kill us, we're looking for second, even third jobs to get like 4 to 6 sources of incomes because that's what we need at the moment. Our apartment illegally upped our rent by $100 last year without any notice. They gave no 30-day notice, no 60-day notice, no notice months in advance.
No email.
We learned about it when we went to renew our lease. That's when
we looked at our rent.
Yeah. That's when they mentioned the price increases, when they gave us the paperwork to renew our lease.
This lease. Yeah, this lease they gave us the paperwork for.
Yeah. And when we renewed our lease, we went from having all utilities except power included for free to being charged for every utility. Garbage, sewer, water, trash. All of that was previously free, but now is adding an additional couple of $100 in cost.
Yep.
And excluding power and internet, which together are an additional $300 or so, our monthly rent went from around $1,700 to $2,000 a month, without any notice, without any advance warning. It increased by that amount. Our first indication of what we would be paying for the next year was when we were charged for the utilities, was when we got our first monthly bill after we renewed our lease. And that extra $300 in rent has been slowly building up to drown us to the point where we can't keep up. And last month was finally the breaking point where we had nothing to pay. Like in July, we had a $2,000 bill we had to pay, and we didn't really have the money to, but we had to pay it anyway. And that was our rent money. And since we had to pay the bill, we had nothing left for rent. And that means that now we've received an eviction notice. We have through August 7th to pay the rent,
So
which
today.
is today. And that's at least $2,000, but potentially $4,000, or we get evicted on August 12th. And we've been pursuing every aid resource we can, but we've hit walls every step of the way. We hit walls on food stamps, navigating the bureaucracy, and that's just the beginning. Like, we would qualify for
disability.
being legally disabled and get the benefits from being legally disabled if we could actually afford to go to the doctor, but we can't. Like, my health insurance at the end of last year upped my monthly rate from $150 a month to $550 a month, a $400 increase I couldn't pay. So, because I couldn't pay for that at $550 a month for health insurance, I've been without health insurance all year long. And even if I had it, I probably wouldn't even be able to afford the co-pays. So, we've kind of been catch-22'd, price gated out of qualifying for disabilities. Like, if we could afford to see the doctors and receive their care, then it would be shown medical intervention isn't enough to make us fully functioning members of society, that we are in fact, by the legal standard, considered disabled. And that would open up the resources of disability to us, including the disability checks and such. But we can't afford the doctors, so we can't get those resources, when those resources would likely enable us to afford doctors. So we're trapped, locked out of receiving the care we should legally qualify for. We just can't get it. And housing resources have largely given us no leads. We've pursued cheaper housing and programs to largely no effect. We've tapped about just about every resource left, and we have nothing left. And all of this builds on top of each other. My job exhausting me, trying to navigate the bureaucracy of receiving aid exhausts me. My own body exhausts me. Hunting for cheaper housing is exhausting. Driving is exhausting. Everything is adding up to breaking me, and if I do break, there's no fixing me after, because there's no going back after that. And all of the ideas I have, all of the creativity, all of the joy, all of the positivity, all of what I do, all of the good I ever could do, all of the passion, all of that is on the verge of disappearing forever and being permanently gone, permanently lost to the world. And that's why this is essentially a final call for aid. After this, I have nothing left to ask for. And I do have tangible answers to the question of what can you do to help, because there's actually quite a lot. You can directly send items or food to us, either directly through Throne, which has surprise gifts enabled, or if we trust you enough, we can DM you our current address for as long as we have it.
Which won't be for much longer.
And you can spread the word, share this video, share the post version of this in video form, however you can, anywhere and everywhere. All of the links will be in the description for this video. And you can advocate on my behalf to any agency you think will listen. You can share agencies with me you think that I can go to, legal agencies, which might take me up as a client for or the illegal things I've been enduring. Like there's been like 3, 4-ish things where,
Our main thing is this apartment complex, though.
yeah, like they want us out on August 12th, and like we might be able to
delay it if we have legal help.
Yeah, and we need like that legal resource of aid of like working out something in court with the apartment. And like,
though honestly, if we move before then, we don't care.
Yeah, but
until then,
yeah, and like other things could be like like sharing this pitch to an agent or a manager who you think might believe in me and my vision, such that they're willing to take a chance on me and give me the resources to set me up for success, and who actually believes I can create what I say I can. And like any aid programs that you think could potentially work with me, jobs which you think could work with us and our disabilities, like ideally remote work, which pays a significant amount, but also stuff local to the area. Like any fundraising organizations or individuals who might be interested in campaigning for us, because we do have ways to donate to us. Or even just directly plugging how to support us. Like you can support me through Twitch subs and bits, albeit a low payout for me. You can donate to my Ko-fi or Ko-fi or Coffee, however you want to say it. And you can even commission me on Ko-fi, because I do have commissions open there, like for products that probably aren't of interest to many people, but they are technically there as something you can have a tangible return on your investment in me if you want it. Like nobody has commissioned me, but you could be the first. And then you can directly donate to our GoFundMe or encourage others to donate to our GoFundMe, and like continue to spread the word to others. And like I'll include a list to all of my links in my card. And like a potential thing, like I already have affiliate on Twitch, so I already have monetization on Twitch, but like you can subscribe and watch my content and watch ads on Twitch when I stream, and potential monetization of TikTok and YouTube. Like I could be like quote unquote professional content creator. Like not very likely, mind you, but again, like any bit helps. Like spread my content, spread the word of my needs, spread the word of things I've gone through, what I'm hoping to do, what I'm already doing. Tell people about me in any way, shape, or form you can. Like apartment hunt and in the area, job hunt in the area, and like anything you can do, any bit of time, energy spent on me makes a difference, because I am running out of time, and like I have so much to offer the world, but I just need help surviving in it. Thank you.